Hello, everyone. I'm Al Deldegan, creator and producer of the Leaders, Innovators, and Big Ideas podcast, supported by Rainforest Alberta. This podcast showcases the people who are working to improve Alberta's innovation ecosystem. Mike Procee hosts this episode, and his guest is Olivia Brown with EllisDon's Accelerator program. Take it away, Mike.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Al. And thank you very much, Olivia Brown, for joining us today from EllisDon. I'm really excited for this conversation. I've been opening up my Rolodex, trying to find a company that seems to have a little bit of a hand on, internal innovation accelerators, and we eventually cross paths. So I'm super excited for the conversation today. Before we jump into all that, though, how are you doing today? How are you feeling?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to chat with you.
Perfect. Excellent. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at EllisDon and kind of how we got connected and your current views around innovation within corporations?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Olivia Brown. I'm the digital construction manager here at EllisDon. I work in our innovation and construction technology team. And I've been with the company for just over 10 years. I started out as a project coordinator on the operations side. Kind of had a couple different roles on operations, went up to project manager, pre-construction. I also did a little stint with our in-house proprietary project management system team. So I actually helped deploy that project management system to users, help train them. So I got to really learn a lot about people's ability and attitudes towards, taking on new technologies, or people who are really resistant to it, and kind of working around that in order to help the business actually be productive. So now I'm in this role, which I'm really excited about since May of last year, to really focus on looking at what's out there in terms of construction technology, softwares, hardware, any sort of tool that is out there to really make our business work better, to be more productive, to be more efficient. And that allows me to work on our pilot programs. So when we come in, we'll bring someone in, test something out on maybe one project, maybe a couple users, or we'll take something and roll it out across the board, maybe to a city or an area, or maybe across the whole company. And part of that is also the Accelerator program, which you mentioned earlier.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, Olivia? So I know we had previously on the podcast, I forget her name now. This is embarrassing, but from Evoke Innovations, Erin Madro. Yes, apologies about that. And she had explained this system where, Synovus and I believe Husky or Suncor at the time had an internal accelerator. They ended up spinning it out into Evoke Innovations, and that was kind of the birth of that. And since then, I haven't heard of a lot of internal accelerators. It seemed very, very vogue and popular, in the 2010s later. And connecting with companies that have them now is a little bit more rare. What is EllisDon's kind of approach to their internal accelerator? Why is it important for them?
I think it stems a lot from, some of our company values, and it may sound cheesy, but openness and accountability and entrepreneurial enthusiasm, which really gives people a lot of rope to go out, try things, see what works best for them, what works best for their group, and really just get out there to see what's going to make things move better, right? So with the accelerator, the approach was a little bit like, let's just see what happens. Like, let's see if we can do this, and if we can kind of leverage all of our construction knowledge, our knowledge of processes and how to build, what to build, work with, all these companies who've had a massive investment in the content part of the industry in the last few years, see if we can partner together and really find something that is mutually beneficial. Right?
And it sounds like a slam dunk, like not only from your side, obviously, because you're getting more exposure to startups, to different organizations, but also from the startup side, because what I heard there is that it's much more of a partnership with EllisDon. You're bringing experience and expertise to the table as well. So, some of these smaller companies, they might have a really cool technology, but they might not know how to integrate it into a big network or a big organization. So it sounds like you actually help them with that process of scaling with them, which I think is just the true definition of partnership. What's the process like for companies to get into your accelerator? If somebody's listening right now and they're like, oh, I'd love to actually work with EllisDon on this, or I'd love to showcase it. Or maybe, somebody wants to bring a technology to you. What does that look like?
So you perfectly described what our program is like, where we want to work with them. We want to get them in touch with the people that are in the field and the ones actually using it. We talk to, and I'll answer your question in a second, but we talk to many companies who they have a great idea or they have an inkling of an idea, but they've never actually talked to someone on a site. They've never gotten their boots dirty.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, how can we marry those two and work together? And sometimes it works. And sometimes it's not, that was a great idea, but it actually has no legs,
I'm guilty of that too. Sometimes you design without the customer in mind and you haven't even spoken to a customer, right?
Exactly. Yeah. But the process to apply is very simple. Our website is www.EllisDon's-accelerator.com. There's an online application. The waitlist is actually open now for our 2025 edition. And once you apply in the summer of this year, we haven't quite defined the dates yet, but in the summer of this year, we'll go through all the applications. We work with a company out of France called Impulse Partners. They're really helping us expand the network globally. We'll go through the applications, figure out who has potential, who fits into our kind of categories of what we're looking for. So the sort of 5 main buckets, we don't want anything and everything. We do want to focus on what EllisDon, construction, really what we're focusing on.
Something you can actually help out in. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So productivity and efficiency, health and safety, sustainability, contract and legal, and then QA/QC. Those are kind of the main buckets we look at. So we'll go through, shortlist it down to roughly 30, 40 companies, go through an actual interview process with them. So sit down and talk, go through rapid fire questions, see how well they know their product and if it's legit. And then the 6 to 8 finalists that we pick actually get to come out to our Toronto office it'll be November this year. They'll pitch kind of in a Dragon's Den style to a panel of judges. And the judges, and this is kind of one of our differentiating pieces, from accelerators that are run maybe by like a VC firm, is that all of our judges are actual EllisDon experts. So we have members from the C-suite, we have operational leads, we have department leads like quality, sustainability, safety. Well, we have superintendents that we'll bring in for the 3 days and say, like, sorry, you're going to have to put someone else on your site. We want your opinion here. And we really value that, which is really nice. Exactly.
Amazing.
So yeah, that's the process.
And if people are listening right now, what stage of companies do you look for? Like, are you still pre-revenue? If I just have an idea and it's not even fully baked yet, can I put that in? Or are you looking for post-revenue a little bit further? What time frame should people be considering?
We're fine with pre-revenue. We do want to see, like, at the pitching stage, we do want to see something a little bit tangible that we can kind of wrap our heads around. I think the thing with construction people that I've noticed, I think through my whole career, is that we'll see something, but everybody that sees something, they're like, well, can I try it? Can I get in the platform and click around and test it for myself? Like, ideas are great, but they really want to get in there and test it out for themselves. So having only an idea is maybe a little bit too early in the stage, but we'll definitely talk to people and chat about what their grand plans are.
And it sounds like, again, that would be a stronger form of partnership as well, right? You're able to get the product in their hands, you're able to work with them, and then you can see, okay, how can we actually help this company and take them to the next level? As people are looking at this and companies as a whole are looking at their accelerator programs, a thought that always comes to me is people can, if you're looking at a new technology or startup, you can buy it, borrow it, or build it yourself. And there's kind of, a variety of different streams and partnerships within that. But how do you determine whether to purchase or invest in one of your accelerator companies? Is there a differentiator there? Do they all go through the same process? What does that look like?
So to answer that and to hit on one other piece, we actually do build in-house as well. So we have our internal software development team. So we actually look at all 3 of those options when we're trying to find a solution. So it becomes do we buy, borrow, or build, actually, all 3 of them. But when we're looking at pilots and accelerators, I think the differentiator is really like, the first thing to look at is it going to make a difference for our business? Is it going to make people's lives easier? Is it going to make their jobs easier? At the end of the day, we are a business. We want to improve how our sites run. We want to make them safe, and so that everybody gets home at the end of the day. And if we're looking at investing in some way, shape, or form, we want to know what kind of potential they have in the industry as a whole. So we look at their competitors. We look at what else is out there. There's not really one size fits all solution for if we're going to do A or B. It's really like becomes a relationship thing where, do we see that we want to work with these people and we want to go forward, or maybe it was cool to test it out, and, good luck on your future endeavors. So,
and there's benefits too, I would assume, to the entire industry, like construction industry as a whole, when we're talking about things like safety, right? Efficiency, sustainability. I mean, you're seeing a lot more now in Calgary specifically, but I think around the world, of collaboration over competition, where these partnerships, you're able to tackle these kind of big problems together. So it's nice to see EllisDon kind of taking a lead in that too through their accelerator program. What are some examples of success that you've currently seen throughout the program? Do you have any wins or anything currently that exist?
Yeah. So from the 2023 Accelerator, Provision is one of the biggest success stories I think that we've had. They're based in Toronto, and their platform is like an AI-assisted contract analysis tool. So you can run your CCDC through it. You can run your supplemental conditions through it. And, there's a couple different tools you can use to make like contract markup tables. So again, just saving people time from doing redlining or making an Excel table when they're just going through and comparing contract terms. But you can also ask it questions like, what are the liquidated damages on this project? Are there any things I need to be concerned about when I'm pricing changes? And so after they won the Accelerator, we started out with a kind of a small pilot group. We got people rolling on it, and then word got out, and it just like basically blew up. And we'd get emails every other day of, hey, can I get access? Hey, can I get access? Which is great because the natural and like natural adoption is the best way that I've seen where people want to use it. So that's been great. I think they've grown. I don't have their numbers, but I know that they've grown a lot on their side, and it's been a really beneficial partnership.
And we always say too that true innovation, true technology adoption, when you're focused fiercely on solving the customer's problem, it's actually quite easy, right? Like people didn't need to be shown heavily like how the iPad works because it was solving a problem. It was making things easier for them, right? So there's a natural adoption there. And I think we forget about that sometimes in the change management side of things that, keep the solution simple, focused on fixing the customer's needs, and they'll gravitate towards it very fast. It kind of spurs a question. Once you have this partnership, is EllisDon their primary customer then, or can they still go out and sell to everybody else? And are you helping them grow through that as well? Or is it more a internal type thing where now they're working directly with you?
No, I don't think we've put any limits on anybody that you can only work with EllisDon. It's, like you said before, it's very much for the benefit of the entire industry. And so if we get our piece of the pie per se, and we've worked with them and we've gotten some features in there or some workflows that really work for us and benefit our business, then we're happy at the end of the day.
Amazing. Encouraging more entrepreneurship and innovation kind of throughout these cities. So you're putting together this program. You mentioned that you've been kind of around since May. Looking at this new program, you've had also successes already come out of the program. What were some of the biggest challenges or learnings as you're establishing a program like this?
I think internal adoption is one of the biggest challenges. It, like I said before, you get people with very different appetites for trying new technology. Some people are super gung-ho. We have one superintendent who is willing to try anything and everything. But then you also get the kind of the back end of that is that he gets told you can't be the guinea pig for everything. You also have to, we need to focus on you doing your job, right? Like it's not just a playpen. You get to play with everything.
Yeah.
So I think, but as people kind of wrap their heads around new software, and like you said, we solve the problem. Yeah, it's like inch by inch, we start to get in, we start to make a difference. And then we really have to bank on those people that we've kind of designated as our contact delegates or sort of our representation where, like that superintendent, yes, he wants to try everything, but we also have to tell him, hey, go tell your buddy about that software that you really love using so that he can use it on his project. So utilizing that and focusing on the kind of like ground level adoption really helps it move up. But we're really lucky that we also have a lot of support from like our CEO, from our executive chairman. They really want to push construction into the future. And there's a big push for us to focus on innovation and being like safe and secure with our data, making sure that our systems talk together and that we're being smart about the decisions we make. So, yeah.
That leadership backbone is just absolutely incredible for any program. And we've spoken about it before on this podcast. You have to have it. And even when you do, there's always people like that might be a little bit more resistant to the change. But I find, again, as long as you're focused on solving their problem, even they come around at times. And nothing feels better than that one person that might have been originally a little bit of a resistor. Afterwards, they're like, you know what? This actually does solve my problem. And they're on board and happy using it.
Yeah. And you don't say, I told you so. You just say, that's great. And you just keep moving.
Yeah, exactly. Just take the win and move on.
Yeah, exactly.
So for this podcast, we do have, a variety of corporate innovators, entrepreneurs, people throughout Alberta, Calgary, kind of looking at starting their own programs or potentially looking to leverage existing programs. Any words of advice for corporate innovators looking to start an accelerator like this in their organization? Where would they get started?
I think you want to find a support network of people in your organization that are innovative, that are creative, and that are, willing to help you. And that's not always easy. Sometimes you have to do a lot of the legwork yourself. but it does pay off if it goes well. But yeah, trying to find those people and being creative about spinning it so that the value prop is like, we have all this knowledge, whatever your business is, whatever your industry is you guys do what you do every day in and out, and you're the experts at that. So utilizing that as your value prop of how can we take that information and make that the gem that people really appreciate when they come to like an accelerator. And we saw that a lot last year when I was part of the Accelerator. These startups came in and they were like, wow, like we got to talk to all these people and learn all this information. And they were like, they just wanted to continue to ask questions and provide all that. So kind of using that as the key of like, we have this unique piece that we can leverage and then figuring out how to take it from there into an accelerator.
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad to hear that EllisDon does have that unique key and they're able to leverage it and input it into their accelerator and that it's working for you. And it's another example of a success story, right? Where these large corporate entities can be as innovative, can participate in the ecosystem in a very meaningful way and help promote the ecosystem as well, not just for themselves, but for the entire industry. And I think this is a great example of that. So thank you very much again, Olivia, for joining us and speaking a little bit about EllisDon's program. And I hope you have a great rest of your week.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You too.
Cheers.
If you haven't already, visit rainforestab.ca and sign the Rainforest Social Contract. Become part of the inclusive, silo-busting, sector-agnostic, all-industry, open-sourced, ego-shrinking, ecosystem-building, entrepreneur-focused, wide-open social barrier-smashing community known as Rainforest Alberta.
This episode is brought to you by New Idea Machine, a unique blend of a tech incubator and a software development powerhouse. We're not just building software, we're crafting the next generation of homegrown tech wizards. Got a project in mind? Or looking to hire fresh talent? Reach out and let's make tech magic happen. Visit newideamachine.com for more info.
Music for the show was created by Tony Deldegan. Please be sure to share this episode with everyone you know. Also, don't forget to come by and say hi at the next Rainforest event. Let us know what you think of this podcast. If you're interested in being either a host, sponsor, or a guest of the show, send me an email at rainforestpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.